So over the past few months, I've been testing quite a few lenses for birding and wildlife photography. And recently, I decided to give the Sigma 500mm prime lens a test to see if it's something I would like to use. Now, with those other lenses, they're honestly quite big and quite heavy and quite cumbersome to use for an all-day photography, wildlife adventure. But something that surprised me with this lens was how incredibly small and lightweight it is. To test this lens, I had a really fun project in mind. I did most of my tests from the comfort of my own home. My landlords who live right above me always keep bird feeders nice and full. So there's always a ton of wildlife right outside my window. And we're gonna dive into that and show you all those test photos that I took. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the technical specs of this lens. So this is the Sigma 500mm f5.6 DGDN OS sports lens. This lens features an aperture ring on the lens with the ability to make the click go away or on. It has an autofocus manual focus switch to switch between both of them quick and easy. The focus ring on this lens is nice and balanced between being too tough or too light. There's a couple other switches on this lens, including a switch to narrow down your focus range, depending on how far or close your subject is. There's a few different OS settings, and this lens features an OS2 algorithm for up to 5 stops of stabilization. There's a few custom buttons here. You don't have to mess with your tripod because this lens rotates on its own mount. If you're wondering about the filter size, it has a 95mm thread. Well, and honestly, and we'll show this in a second, the photo quality from this piece of glass is absolutely amazing. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, one of my favorite things about this lens is its size. The weight of this lens is only 1,365 grams. And considering this lens is a whopping 500mm, it's quite a bit lighter than the other lenses in the similar focal length. Zoom lenses like 200-600, I can't really comfortably do this, but with this lens, it's heavy, and you wouldn't really do it, but I mean, like, you can. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks to this lens is the price. It is quite expensive. You can find this lens new for $2,800 currently. I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to check it out. However, that being said, what's coming up next is all the test photos and test videos I took with this lens, and by far, it's some of the best quality wildlife and birding photography I've ever shot. So let me go ahead and flip over to my window where I did most of this test. I'll show you some of those test photos and give you my overall thoughts. Okay, so come join me at the window here in my apartment. So one of my favorite things about this apartment is there's always several bird feeders that are pretty full with birdseed. This means my backyard is always teeming with wildlife. There's all types of birds and squirrels and other animals showing up to enjoy some of the seed. So being that we're in winter now and temperatures are pretty cold, I figured it'd be a great opportunity to kind of use my apartment as kind of like a wildlife photography hut to go otherwise undetected by the animals enjoying the seed. And I think photographing from within my window offered minimal disturbance, and the animals didn't really seem bothered by my presence at all. Going through and editing these photos and looking at the videos I took with this lens, I was absolutely blown away on the absolute pristine sharpness that came from this lens. I've used a couple other wildlife photography lenses out there, and I always thought they were pretty great quality, but comparing those photos I took with other lenses with the photos I took with this Sigma 500mm, I was absolutely just flabbergasted on how much I loved the photo quality from this lens. Also, a great feature about this is how lightweight it is. Using this handheld, I never felt like I was gonna get extremely sore, extremely fast, like I do with some of the other bigger wildlife photography lenses out there. Had it been warmer and I was going on a trail or a hike to explore the woods, I would be happy taking this lens with me on those trips. Whereas something like a 200-600, it's quite a bit heavier and overall more cumbersome. So while yes, you can hike out with it, hiking out with this 500mm prime, I'd imagine would be a lot more of an enjoyable experience. Now, all these photos and videos that you saw, they're all slightly touched up, but in order to shed light on the lens quality itself, I tried to keep editing to a minimum, so I only did some very basic edits. Overall, I really like this lens due to the photo quality first and foremost, and secondary how small and lightweight it is for a 500mm. The one caveat is that price tag can be a little bit out of reach for a lot of people, and I get that. If you're an entry-level photographer, an amateur-level photographer, and you don't have a lot of budget for your photography gear, a 200-600 or equivalent is going to be honestly near half the price of this lens. So that might be a better option for you because it gives you more versatility.
I hope you enjoyed the test photos using this lens. If you have any questions regarding this lens or any questions about photography at all, please let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video.